Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to the Operation Freedom platform. It is my honor to have back with me a good friend and someone who I believe is the top naturopathic physician in North America, Dr. Peter Glidden. As you know, every other week we have an opportunity to meet with Peter and take his knowledge and apply it to you and your health and your wellness. It's information that I never received in my medical school training, and it's information that I value very highly, and it has made an enormous difference in my life as far as my health and wellness. Today we want to tackle, if you will, a controversial issue, and the title of today's presentation is How to Protect Yourself from Geoengineering Chemicals. Geoengineering chemicals also, if you will, by the name of, if you will, chemtrails. Now, whenever you mention chemtrails, there's this adverse reaction in many people that occurs. This is conspiracy theory and the like. I was first approached about this issue with my Operation Freedom radio show platform about 6 years ago. A retired general from the United States Air Force that had been involved in weather reconnaissance contacted me and said, Dave, you really need to focus on the issue of geoengineering, and that being, if you will, manipulation of the environment that's occurring. And he pointed me in the direction of a great website and an expert by the name of Dane Wigington. Website is geoengineeringwatch.org, geoengineeringwatch.org. And in that, Dane outlines and has documented scientifically the fact that there is this spraying, if you will, occurred. Now, some people call it solar radiation management. Some call it stratospheric aerosolization. But there are some, and the question is, why is this being done? It's open to speculation. Some people say to prevent the global warming issues from getting worse. There are other people that believe there are nefarious causes to why these chemtrails, this geoengineering is occurring. What we want to focus on today is what can be done to protect yourself from what we see occurring in the skies. And granted, over the past year, I've noticed there's been less spraying. And in fact, for about a month and a half in my area, southeast Michigan, there was very little, if any, spraying. And now I started to notice, again, a bit more occurring. Let me give you a little background on Dr. Peter Glidden, who's going to discuss the health aspects and what can be done to protect yourself from this potential chemical insult in your body and on your health. Peter went to college at Williams College and got his Bachelor of Science degree in pre-medical studies from the University of Massachusetts. He had then obtained his doctorate degree in naturopathic medicine from the Great Bastyr University in Seattle, Washington. He currently is a member of the American Association of Naturopathic Physicians. Presently, he's in private practice in naturopathic medicine and has been licensed to practice naturopathic medicine since 1992. Now, in addition to his clinical skills, Peter is a fantastic author. His books are the foundation of our medical library, and it should be of yours. You can obtain these on Amazon. Everybody is Sick and I Know Why, and Attempt to Cure with Holistic Medicine. Peter, welcome back to the Operation Freedom platform.
My jaw's on the floor a little bit. I think I've always heard about chemtrails, never really knew what to make of it, whether it was a real thing or a fictitious thing. But, to have a retired Army general or Air Force general
yes,
tell you, Dave, this is a real thing, you need to investigate it. I mean, that's really kind of jaw-dropping, eye-opening to me.
And as I mentioned, Peter, geoengineeringwatch.org, there is a tremendous amount of data and science there, not conjecture or innuendo or rumor, but science. And in fact, Peter, recently from Zero Hedge, title, Mind the Chemtrails. New study calls for global stratospheric aerosol injection by the 2030s. By the 2030s, well, it's occurring right now in 2019 and has been for, according to the general I spoke to, for a number of decades, in fact. A fleet of aircraft injecting sulfates into the lower stratosphere could help protect the world from climate change. Well, that is according to a peer-reviewed paper published in November 23rd, 2018 in the journal Environmental Research Letters by researchers from Harvard and Yale universities.
There's a couple things I'd like to say about that. Now, number one is, stupid is as stupid does, right?
Yeah.
I remember listening a long time ago. This had to be 15 years ago, when the whole, the global warming thing this was even before Al Gore's movie, right? An Inconvenient Truth. This was I don't know where I heard this information, but I had one of those aha moments. And there was an Inuit Eskimo elder, who was talking at some environmental conference. And he was saying, look, the reason that the polar regions are melting faster than they ever have before, in the summer months, and freezing less in the winter months, has nothing to do with CO2 or a global warming effect from the CO2 blanketing the Earth's atmosphere and disallowing the heat from getting off the planet. He said it's because of the accumulation of microscopic black rubber in the snow coming from automobile tires. Right? That made my head explode. Mm-hmm. Number one. So, the poles are melting more rapidly, but is it from global warming? Is it from something else? And also, if this in fact is a real thing, if global warming was even a real thing, then if the idea here is that the problem is CO2 accumulation in the atmosphere, then why not just plant more trees? Or better yet, why not attend to the algae in the oceans? Now, the biomass of the algae in the oceans is and I'm making numbers up here, but it's like thousands of times greater than the biomass of trees on the solid ground. And if you look at the kind of the health of the algae blooms in the oceans over the last 100 years, they've been decreasing. The levels of algae, the amount of algae and microscopic phytoplankton in the oceans has been decreasing. And one of the reasons that it's decreasing, as above, so below, if the human body doesn't get enough minerals are 66% of the human body's nutrient needs, then all kinds of things start to break down. Mm-hmm. Not because of bad genes, not because of stress, but just because of lack of raw materials. Plain and simple, straightforward. Well, guess what? If the oceans run out of minerals, the same things happen. And what is the source of minerals to the oceans? Rivers. Well, what happens when you dam up rivers? When virtually all the large rivers in the world now are dammed up, the minerals that are in the silt that normally flows down into the river deltas and then empties into the ocean is eliminated. So the oceans are becoming demineralized, which means that that's going to have a direct impact on the phytoplankton and the algae. That's going to have a direct impact on how much carbon dioxide is sucked out of the atmosphere or not. There are all of these aspects that people just don't pay any attention to whatsoever. They hyper-focus on something and damn the torpedoes, right?
Right.
Let's just spray the atmosphere with all this kind of crap and, collateral damage, it doesn't matter. And, it's kind of like, damn the torpedoes, boys, let's march ahead forward. It's an insane mentality that's driving this forward. And, it just makes my hair catch on fire.
So what should people do, Peter, with this environmental exposure to all these chemicals in the skies and the water and the like? Because obviously, if they're spraying the skies, it's going to get in the water system. It's going to be in our agricultural system, our farmland, and the like. What should people do?
All right. So from the holistic perspective, we always boil everything down to the basics, and this is common sense, and it's important that we have a strong foundation for health here, right? So listen. Life is a great big bowl of stress. There's bacterial stress, there's viral stress, there's emotional stress, there's financial stress, weather, aging, right? Radiation stress, environmental stress. You name it. There's all kinds of stress. When you work out, you ride a bike, you run, you jog, you lift weights, you do yoga, you're stressing the body. So the idea here is plain and simple, to make the body so strong that it can withstand the stress. Think about it this way, right? We live in the central United States where it gets pretty gosh darn cold in the wintertime. If it's January and it's, 5 degrees Fahrenheit and I have to go outside and shovel my front steps of snow, I'm not going to do that in my bathing suit and flip-flops.
Right.
Because if I did that in my bathing suit and flip-flops, the cold air could hurt me, could kill me, for goodness sake. But if I take the precautions, if I bundle up, right, wear my snowsuit and my hat and my gloves, and I could sleep on the ice if I wanted to, if I took the right precautions. It's the same with chemtrails. And we have no, I'm not exactly sure what the chemicals are, but it would only make sense that a strong, nutrified body would be much more able to handle a chemical stress than a weak, under-nutrified body, right? Mm-hmm. And this is our mantra across the board. It applies to all kinds of stress of life, including chemtrails. Now, because chemtrails, aerosol injected stuff that gets into the human body mostly by breathing, then it would be prudent to, in addition to the Foundation Medical Nutrition Program, the 90 essential nutrients, the elimination of the 12 bad foods that we recommend for everybody, if you're outside and you're looking up and son of a gun, there's a bunch of chemtrails, and you can see them, and they're right there, then it would probably be prudent for you at that moment in time to start ingesting supplements which support and promote healthy lung function.
Okay, and what would those be?
Omega-3 essential fatty acids and the selenium for its antioxidant capability, and the good herbs respiratory support. I mean, that's what we do. So we keep on the shelf the good herbs respiratory support, a bottle of ultimate selenium, and an extra bottle of the Prohoba Omegas. The Prohoba Omegas are part of the 90 essential nutrients, but we would do extra in order for more lung support. This is a fascinating subject to me, and again, right, from an outsider's perspective, it might seem kind of like, what's Glidden talking about, for goodness sakes? But look, I have seen children in the hospital with asthma, unresponsive to conventional treatment, like 9-year-old girl. They don't know what to do. She can't breathe. Regular treatment isn't working. She responded 100% recovery of the asthmatic condition with the 90 essential nutrients and extra omega-3 essential fatty acids, 100% recovery. And, we hear stories, we have testimonials about things like this all of the time. So we know that medical nutrition works, and we know that it works not in a symptom suppressive fashion, right, but in a strengthen the body fashion. And this is our mantra from start to finish. Everybody needs to stop the 12 bad foods. Everybody needs to fill their nutritional tank up, the Healthy Body Start Pack, the plant-derived minerals, and then for extra added lung support, Prohoba Omegas, Ultimate Selenium, and the Good Herbs respiratory support. Bada bing, bada boom. It's kind of like, putting on the overcoat when you go out into cold weather.
Now, the 12 bad foods, the video that you did is on the top part of the page of OperationFreedomHealth.com. The nutritional supplements you spoke about are also available on OperationFreedomHealth.com. Full disclosure, purchase of the products on OperationFreedomHealth.com it gets you entitled to a number of different things, but one of the things it does do, it helps support the Operation Freedom platform. In addition, you provide in continuing medical education several forms. We have the videos, our previous videos available on this YouTube channel, but also on OperationFreedomHealth.com. And also, folks, if they purchase products through the site for continuing medical education, you produce a webinar every other week in addition to this video series that you do.
Yeah, and this next one, and it's just for people who purchase the products at Operation Freedom Health. This isn't for the general public. This next webinar is going to be about lung health. right? Ins and outs of lung health. Fascinating information, by the way, and this is hot off the press. Well, it's a little cool off the press. This entered the mainstream about a year ago. But medical science discovered, all of a sudden, out of the blue, that guess what? The lungs manufacture platelets, which is an integral part of the blood and has a lot to do with blood clot formation. And before a year ago, it was postulated or assumed, or it was a known fact, that the only place in the body that platelets were manufactured was the bone marrow.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
But all of a sudden, oh no, platelets in the lungs? I mean, that's like finding out Santa Claus is real, for goodness sakes, right? I mean, it was really a big breakthrough. So there's a lot that people can do in order to support and promote healthy lung function. And I got to tell you something, walking down the road with healthy lungs is quite a bit different than walking down the road with weak lungs.
Well,
let me tell you something.
Well, and Peter, and to those folks that say, well, I don't really buy into this geoengineering issue, I encourage folks to go to geoengineeringwatch.org. And the data is irrefutable when you go through that site. But we're constantly exposed to a variety of environmental chemicals and exposures, and one of the first organ systems that's impacted by that, as you mentioned, is the lungs. So let's do an action plan. Geoengineeringwatch.org. Also operationfreedomhealth.com, and on that we have the 12 bad foods video at the top part of the page, but we also have the products available. And you mentioned the 90 essential nutrients. The most effective way to get that, and tell me if I'm wrong, is through the Healthy Body Start Pack, which is also available on the operationfreedomhealth.com website.
Yeah, absolutely, positively. That's the easiest way to do it. One package, or the Healthy Body Start Pack, and one bottle of plant-derived minerals gives you 100% of your body's nutrient needs. 100% in recipes that you can actually absorb. And, that beats a poke in the eye with a sharp stick.
And the bio-absorbability is what's key. Because many people say, well, I'm already taking some multivitamins, some other things, so that's good enough. But in fact, the bio-absorbability of that type of approach is very poor, correct?
Yeah, I had a patient. This is actually a funny story. When I was fresh out of medical school, I had a medical practice in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, right? Hyannisport, Massachusetts. And I had a patient that would come to New England every summer. He lived in Florida. He wanted to get out of the heat. And he had a porta potty business in Florida, of all things. And, he came in for a workup, and I recommended a vitamin therapy. And he looked at my RX, and he said, I got to tell you something. He said, in Florida, we call porta potties vitamin machines. And I said, what the hell are you talking about?
Right.
And he said, well, whenever we empty them out, they're loaded with Centrum Silvers. Because the majority of people in Florida are elderly.
Right, can't absorb
and
it.
Their digestive tract is so messed up from just decades of doing all the wrong thing that they can't even digest a vitamin. So they swallow it and it passes right through undigested. They poop it out. Well, that's not very good. That's not very therapeutic, right? So, so there's two things to consider when we're considering spending our hard-earned money on nutritional supplements because our medical insurance won't pay for it.
Right.
So number one is the recipe. What's in it, right? Is it a fractionated thing where you're just going to get a lot of vitamin D and a lot of B12 and a lot of vitamin C? Or is it a comprehensive, holistic formula? And we're the only ones that are doing a comprehensive, holistic formula, the only ones in the world. My colleagues, I don't know where their heads are at, quite frankly, but a lot of my colleagues don't even get what this is about. And there's a gigantic difference between giving the human body everything that it needs, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, essential fatty acids, 100% of that in one recipe, and formulated in such a way that the body can actually absorb it. And when you marry those two things together, all of a sudden your body is nutrified. And when your body is nutrified, switches start to flip on that have been turned off for a long, long time. And there's an across the board change, right? Energy gets better, mood gets better, appetite gets better, weight gets better, aches and pains get better. There's kind of a brightening up across the board. It's really no different than taking an automobile in for a tune-up. Most people are walking around planet Earth in a body that's been under-nutrified its entire life. And, if you put diesel fuel into an unleaded engine, well, it's probably not going to run that great, but you'd get used to it running not great. So people eat all these foods all the time that are not good for their body, and they don't put two and two together. Well, maybe that's why I can't sleep at night. Maybe that's why my knee joints are exploding. Maybe that's why I had to have my gallbladder removed, right? And this is really a big deal, right? The human
It's
body
huge.
knows how to fix itself, wants to fix itself, is endowed with a God-given ability to fix itself, but it needs our help to do that. And this is a fantastic combination for general all-around health. And then in the case of chemtrail exposure, heaven forbid, it only is smart to give the lungs a little extra love and support, right?
I agree. And from all the other environmental chemicals that we're in contact with every day, by the many dozens.
It's a huge thing. Environmental toxicity is a huge thing. And, that's a whole nother subject, is detoxification protocols, which maybe we should do a show on at some point in time. But there's two things I just want to mention real quickly about that. And again, it's academic that the human body now is loaded with all kinds of man-made chemicals that shouldn't ought to be in there, but they're there.
And we've done another report on this when we were speaking about the active ingredient in Roundup.
Right. We did that. Right. We did talk about that.
Right.
That's right. So there's two things to know about this. Number one, remember, the body's smart. The body knows that this stuff is in there, wants to get rid of it, but it needs help to do that. So one of the benefits to being nutrified 100% of the time is that your body's detoxification mechanisms are stimulated. So your body starts getting rid of stuff because it can and because it wants to, and now it has the ability to. Number one. And number two, I think it's prudent once a year, once every 2 years, for people to do a 7-day detox program, right? Do a 7-day detox program, and I've outlined that on my website. But here's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. And, this is one of the reasons, another reason to hate Hollywood, right? We're going to do the lemon juice fast, or, we're going to do the maple syrup cleanse or whatever. Right. Well, you're an idiot, number one. Number two, first, we must nutrify before we attempt to detoxify.
Correct.
Because when you stimulate the body's detoxification mechanisms, for instance, when you burn fat through a weight loss program or some detox regime, you liberate nasty chemicals that the body had sequestered away into fatty tissue. That stuff enters the general circulation and goes into the liver. And it's the liver's job to deconstruct that nastiness and turn it into unnastiness and get rid of it. The liver actually is the organ that detoxifies, deconstructs toxic chemicals and helps the body to eliminate them. But guess what? The liver needs raw materials to do that.
That's right.
So if you don't have enough selenium, if you don't have enough B complex, if you don't have enough antioxidants, if you don't have enough amino acids in your body, you're going to liberate that stuff. It's going to go into the liver. The liver will not be able to deconstruct it, and then it enters the general circulation, and then you're screwed. I mean, that's like stirring up a hornet's nest, man. That's a bad idea. So before we even consider a detoxification program, which I think is appropriate, you first have to nutrify your body for at least, 60, 90 days before you even consider doing any type of a detox.
Peter, I'd like to thank you for everything you have done, are doing, and will do. I encourage folks to go to Amazon. Peter's books are the foundation, as I mentioned, of our medical library. I suggest it be the same for you. Everybody is sick, and I know why. An attempt to cure with holistic medicine. Our information about the 12 bad foods, the video, is up on OperationFreedomHealth.com at the top. The products we discussed are also available. Peter will be doing another webinar for those who sign up through OperationFreedomHealth.com this week. And all of our videos are available on this YouTube channel, Operation Freedom, and also available at OperationFreedomHealth.com. Until next time, Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. Thank you for your time today.